Welcome back into Skipper. Today we are doing round by round targets for your fantasy baseball drafts. I did a mock draft on Yahoo, so some of these picks may be outside of the rounds that they're classically in, but I'm going to look at the ADPs of a bunch of guys, show you which picks I like in each round that I'm going into instead of just doing a full mock draft for you. Again, on the road to 30K, please subscribe, join the Discord. Let's get into the players. So round one, obviously you can have a lot of fun there. Aaron Judge is going to go 1-1 in most of those drafts. And again, although the power and the average are super awesome, if I'm not picking 1-1 for Aaron Judge, I'm looking at someone who can five categories every single time. They can hit for average, steal bases, power. They can do it all. And there's a bunch of guys in this round that can do that. There's two guys who don't do a lot of that, and that's going to be Jordan Alvarez and Vladimir Guerrero. I think Vladdy takes a step forward again this year. The launch angle and the pitch selection were bad last year. So the guys that I'm going to like a lot, Jose Ramirez, Ronald Acuna Jr., Julio Rodriguez, Trey Turner, Kyle Tucker, and even Juan Soto as a guy who walked a lot. OBP leagues, obviously, he's going off the board a little higher than this, and you need him if you're taking OBP instead of average in some of your leagues. But again, this is an awesome round to draft. In round one, that's where you build your team after. And again, some people, if you don't watch a ton of baseball and your first round pick on your team is someone you're going to want to watch a lot, I'm fine with even taking a guy like that you want to cheer for, one of the guys you like more, not because you're going to look at the stats. So round one, a lot of fun, a lot of ways you can go. But for me, I'm going to go hitter round one for sure. Into the second round, we get a bunch of third base picks. We get Machado, Austin Riley, and Rafael Devers. I am a Machado guy over the other three just because of kind of what he can do all the time, but they give you the other counting sets as well. I don't think those third basemen are bad picks at all. Machado, we did this last year. It was Devers going in the second round, but it's like, okay, you can get Machado the next round, and then Austin Riley was kind of undervalued again. But Austin Riley's up there now. He's going to go pretty early as well. So I like Bo Bichette as well. Very first-round pick-ish with the type of thing you can do. 2 years in a row, he's led the AL in hits. You love that. I mean, I'm a Blue Jays fan. You can see on the shirt here from Peace Collective, an awesome shirt. Bo Bichette's going to steal bases a ton this year. They're going to be super aggressive. I think he's going to be able to hit for average again. He's going to hit for home runs. The fences are in. I think Bo Bichette's an awesome second-round pick. Again, other guys I'm going to like here, Paul Goldschmidt, he can kind of do it all as well. He is the Vladdy comp. He is the Jordan Alvarez comp as well for that type of player. Not going to steal the bases, but can do everything else really well. And then Pete Alonso, we were drafting him a lot later last year, and now we're drafting him at his peak. I am fine to stay away from Pete Alonso, although I don't think he'll give you the exact Paul Goldschmidt numbers. I think they're a little bit better there. But I'm not totally sold on first base. I think there's a lot of value, even guy in the 7th round, and I think there's a guy in the 14th round that I like a lot at the first base position. So if I can stay away from that, I'm fine with it. I like Mike Trout. I think he can stay healthy, man. I'm going to be a hypocrite by saying I like Mike Trout and I say I don't like Jacob deGrom for the same reasons, but what he did power-wise last year was incredible, off the charts. What was it, 40 home runs? He barely played, and then Tatis, he's getting some time off, but he is very possibly the first overall pick in fantasy baseball drafts next year, just with what he can do. He's that incredible of a talent. You can pick guys up on the waivers and have him off your roster for a little bit, and then before you have to play him again. But it's just, I'm going to have a tough time with Tatis staring me down as the clock ticks down, just passing on him for like Bobby Witt Jr. I just won't do that. And then the last guy I like in this one is going to be Michael Harris. The numbers speak for themselves. Rookie of the year. He did it all. I didn't watch a ton of Michael Harris, so I kind of look at his FanGraph numbers, look at everything about it, and he was just really awesome. He can do it all. Again, someone who can hit for power, 20-20 guy, pretty easy, I think. Michael Harris, I think that's going to be a good pick. So based on what I like in the first two, it's pretty obvious that I'm going to go hitter very early, and then I think round 3 is what you call the pitcher round here. There's a bunch of guys in this draft that went. Spencer Strider went, Sandy Alcantara, Shane McClanahan, Shane Bieber went, Jacob deGrom, Rodon, Aaron Nola, Brandon Woodruff, and I like all of them. I'm going to stay... don't actually like all of them. I'm going to stay away from Bieber and deGrom. Bieber, he's very consistent. It's just never a guy I've really liked, and that's fine for people to make assumptions on guys. He can be awesome on someone else's team. It's just not going to be on my team most likely. And then deGrom, it's the same thing with Tatis. I'm saying he just hasn't pitched, 24 outings in the last 2 years. He's the best pitcher on the planet when he's healthy, but he just can't stay healthy. So for me, I'm going to pass on that. Rodon, I like. Even you're going to have the short porch in Yankee Stadium. His FIP was just so good. All the underlying numbers that you look for the next season were really good with Carlos Rodon, so I'm going to keep him. Nola strikeouts a ton. And then Brandon Woodruff is one of my favorite pitchers on the board at all. So if I'm at the end of the 3rd round, start of the 4th round, if Brandon Woodruff hasn't gone, that's a guy I can take as an ace to anchor my rotation, I believe, that I like to take. So Pitcher round 3. Round 4, I'm probably going back to another hitter. There is Emmanuel Clase starting there for round 4, but when we were taking him last year in like the 7th or 8th round, I liked it a lot better. I think you can do that again for relievers. Saves are a big deal in most leagues, I understand, but I think we can find them other than just, the second relief pitcher off the board, right, in Emmanuel Clase. So don't love him that much at this price. Obviously, he's fantastic. But the guys I'm going to really look towards besides him, Arenado, Jazz Chisholm, Corey Seager, Matt Olson. I think 2 of these guys, actually maybe 3 of them, Chisholm, Seager, and Olson, all are going to benefit from the shift ban. Nolan Arenado was MVP candidate as well. Another guy, if you go steals early and you're kind of worried about some counting stats like home runs with some of these guys, like say you take Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, you think they're not going to hit home runs, which they very well can. You go for an Arenado. If you went like Jordan Alvarez early, if you went Vladimir Guerrero Jr. early, then I think you need to pick up a guy like Jazz Chisholm because they're the stolen bases for you there pretty early. So the 5-tool players going off early on the board, really, really important. Again, you can take them later as well, but those are the guys I like in the 4th round. Seager, if you watch the Must Draft Players video, he's going to be up there, and then Matt Olson, I think. Just driving in a ton of runs on an offense, it's going to be really good. If you're inclined to take a closer at this point, Devin Williams, Josh Hader going off the board in the 5th round for this last draft that I did. Fine with that. I'm fine with Hader kind of bouncing back. There was a lot of family issues with Josh Hader off the field, so I think maybe things get settled this offseason. He comes back to San Diego, and he does really well. Again, another pitcher kind of thing here. A lot of pitchers go off the board. You look at Zach Wheeler go off in this round. Dylan Cease, Julio Urias, Luis Castillo, Yu Darvish, Kevin Gausman, and I kind of like all of those pitchers, if we're being honest. Again, you have JT Realmuto as well going off the board here. If you're inclined to take a catcher early, someone who can do it all, JT Realmuto is really good for that. And again, Kyle Schwarber, he can hit so many home runs. So again, if you're looking for power, Kyle Schwarber's not a bad pick in the 5th round here. Definitely think he's better than Teoscar Hernandez as well. So I would not be taking Teoscar Hernandez in the 5th round. If we're trying to tie it up for a balanced team here, I think there's a bunch of starters in the 6th round that you can get off the board with a decent value. Those guys are going to be Max Fried, Framber Valdez, Alek Manoah, Christian Javier, Zach Gallen. Again, I think this is another good spot to get them. I don't want to take totally Corbin Burns, Garrett Cole first 2 rounds because you can get other guys like this, and the hitters going off the board aren't my favorite. So in the 6th round, again, you have Dalton Varsho at the end of this and George Springer, 2 people in the same outfield for the same team. They're going to work off each other, score runs, home runs, doubles, RBIs. Varsho and Springer get into a better position. Springer out of center field. Hopefully you have Kevin Kiermaier moving in. That makes both of these guys better at the plate because they're not going to be killing their bodies in center field both times. So I think Varsho with catcher eligibility should be the 2nd guy off the board for sure because of what he can do on the base paths as well. Easy 2020 guy, I believe, this season for Dalton Varsho. And if he hits 30 home runs and steals a ton of bags, he's an awesome option just to be the first catcher again. Think we're going to lose the catcher designation at some point next year because he won't catch any games this season. But I also like George Springer as well. Someone we liked last year. So Varsho, Springer at the end of that round are great. Before we continue with the rest of the rounds, this video is sponsored by Peace Collective. If you're into retro sportswear, if you like sweaters like this J sweater I am wearing right now, go to Peace Collective. Use promo code OwnersBox10 at checkout for 10% off your next purchase. We move along to round 7, which is in this draft. I don't really like how it went because there's some guys that I'm trying to stay away from that went consecutively kind of in this round. Started with Jose Abreu, which is a guy I really, really like this year. I think if you miss out on Alonso, Goldschmidt, Freeman, Guerrero, Matt Olson, this isn't, you wait the 3 rounds, you could just not have this guy, and Jose Abreu is going to be a very solid option. He's going to plug in there. They played Yuli Gurriel, who wasn't a great bat, in the middle of that lineup forever. They're going to do the same thing. Dusty Baker is going to do the left, right thing. Kyle Tucker's going to hit way too down in the order when he should be hitting in the 3-hole all the time. But Jose Abreu was one of the unluckier hitters in the league last year. I think that turns around for him. He is getting older, but I like Jose Abreu a lot. Another one in that offense who kind of figured it out halfway through the season, Alex Bregman, is another guy I like at the 3rd base position, which is pretty thin this year. This would be the 5th third baseman off the board at this point. 7th. That's my bad with Alex Bregman. Pretty good, though. And then Willy Adames is a guy I fell in love with last year. He just couldn't do it average-wise, but the power is there. If he can cut down on some strikeouts, Willy Adames is going to be another great shortstop for you. Round 8 is where we're going to have a lot of fun. I have 7 or 8 players I like that were taken in round 8 of the 12. It starts with Blake Snell. I think he's going to be very good this season. Talked about the second half adjustments in the must draft video. Again, I would take him over Tristan McKenzie, Kershaw, Glasnow just got hurt. Musgrove just got hurt that were taken in the 7th round, but I would like Blake Snell more, taking him in the 8th so you can wait, get another guy who is higher rated. Then Gunnar Henderson really, I think, being kind of slept on a little bit. 8th round, it's tough to say sometimes, but I think he's going to be a really good option. You go closers again, Felix Bautista, awesome season to end with the Orioles. Nestor Cortez, I tried to pick holes in what he did last season. I just couldn't do it. There wasn't really anything to look at. Limiting hard contact is just what he did, and he was able to get the strikeouts. Byron Buxton, the post-hype breakout could be upon us. He hit the home runs in the games he played. He doesn't play a lot of games, but he's super talented when he's on the field. So I think maybe overlooking Buxton this year is the chance to take him again. 8th round, I think we're getting him in the 5th round last year. So a little bit of a discount on Byron Buxton. Corbin Carroll is going to steal 1 million bases this season. He's going to be a lot of fun in that D-backs outfield. I think the speed showed when he was up in the big leagues last year, and it is going to be a nightmare for opposing pitchers with that pitch clock, with him on the bases, thinking about stealing 2nd and 3rd every single time. Brian Reynolds, again, got some contract trade talk issues with the Pirates, but he is going to have the most at-bats on the team. You put him in the 1 or 2 hole, whatever they do with Brian Reynolds, and then he will deliver for them. Wander Franco, again, I think is really good. I have no real holes in his game as well. Hurt at the start of last season, although the power was there at the start of the season, not so much at the bottom. Will Smith, again, is just going to hit for average and drive in runs and solid Dodger lineup once again. And then Eloy, I don't really know how to feel at the end of this, but those other guys I love for sure in the round. We head into round 9. We have guys like Adley Rutschman, Andres Jimenez, Yohan Duran going off, Lance Lynn. I think if you want a second closer pretty early, Yohan Duran and Camilo Doval are going off the board here, and I like them more than guys going off like Tyler O'Neill, Robbie Ray, Kyle Wright at the start of this one. So the guys I really like, Adley Rutschman is just going to be solid behind the plate for your fantasy teams. We haven't seen him, but durability I don't think is going to be an issue. Then you go second closer, the guys in the middle of this round, and then I like Logan Webb, Vinny Pasquantino at the end of this round. So if there's going to be a lot of pitchers that you need. Logan Webb was a solid one in a pitcher-friendly ballpark. And then Vinny Pasquantino is a guy I talked about in must draft. So if you've waited on the first base position, there's 2 guys back-to-back rounds here who are really good options, and Vinny Pasquantino, and then I'll wait for the next round. Round 10, Nathaniel Lowe is a guy who is being slept on currently. He's going to have to be in a sleepers video because I think he is that good. The rolling numbers for his career are just shooting straight up. He was awesome for the Texas Rangers last season. Seiya Suzuki is going off in the 10th round as well. The oblique injury, of course, I put out the video on the exact same day. They said he's not playing for Japan in the World Baseball Classic, so that hurts. If we get news that he's out for a long time, obviously this hurts his ADP. This hurts where he's going. I don't like it as much, but I do like him as a player for all the reasons I stated in the must-draft video. Logan Gilbert, starter I like. Luis Severino, another starter I like. So we just build on starter depth in some of these rounds. I don't think we're taking huge chances on these guys. Severino, we're taking a chance on the health, which I think he's going to be okay for, and Logan Gilbert on the skill set, which he's shown us 2 straight seasons he can do. And then finally, Jeremy Pena, I like for some offensive output. Kind of broke out early last year. Fancy guys were telling you sleeper, Jeremy Pena, and then the playoffs, he just absolutely crushed it. So Jeremy Pena, I like going off 10th round. On to the 11th, Carlos Correa, we are getting this discount on. Can't really tell you why. I hope you guys can tell me, is it injury concern? Because I'm shocked that Ahmed Rosario is going above Carlos Correa. It doesn't make much sense to me. A guy I love as well as an outfield option, if you're in 5 outfielder leagues, Taylor Ward was really good before he got hurt. He was bad for a little bit with an injury, came back, struggled, and then it ended the year very hot. Chris Bryant, I can kind of count on a bounce back from, I would think, at Coors Field. He has to figure it out at some point. You think the talent takes over for Chris Bryant in the 11th round here? MJ Melendez, someone had a ton of at-bats in the second half of the season, who's going to catch half the time with Salvador Perez. Again, it's pretty funny that there's 2 Jays, 2 Royals in the top 10 of fantasy catchers this season, but MJ Melendez is a very talented catcher who can steal bases as well. Willingness to run, which will help you. And then you have George Kirby at the end of this one, who I think is a very good pickup, who can pitch a lot of innings for you on your fantasy team. I like this round 11. when you fall in love with the middle rounds, that's how you usually know you're going to do well in the drafts, because that's where a lot of the values are and a lot of the fun players come. Round 12, I have a ton of players here. Max Muncy, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, CJ Crone, Jorge Polanco, Ian Happ, Andrew Vaughn, and Nick Castellanos all go in the 12th round, and all guys I like. Max Muncy struggled mightily last year, but OBP leagues, he is a must draft. He's always on base. He was put in between some guys who have terrible batting average, but they don't get on base like Max Muncy does. Hunter Green, the strikeouts are going to be there. And if we can get some less walk stuff, less hits, I think Hunter Green breaks out here. Same thing with Nick Lodolo. If I had to choose between the two, I'm going to take Hunter Green and bet on that for sure. But they both have great swing and miss stuff. CJ Crone at Coors Field has just been a staple the past 2 seasons. I take him in the 12th round. I'm pretty comfortable with playing him all season pretty much. Jorge Polanco, batting average type thing. Ian Happ, driving runs in. I always believe in Ian Happ. It is my fatal flaw, some might say, but I like him in the 12th round again for a team that I don't think is going to be as good as people think, but a little bit upgraded from last season. And then Andrew Vaughn, guy on the White Sox that they just couldn't find him enough playing time in great spots. I thought you put him in the outfield. That's tough to learn a new position while you're trying to hit. I think he's going to have a decent spot this season with the White Sox. He will figure it out. So Andrew Vaughn, I'm okay with. And then Nick Castellanos, there's not much more to say for him. He's up and down, but when the ups are up, you're happy to take a guy like that in the 12th round over some more projects. I'm pretty set on 4 guys that I like in the 13th round. Those are Alejandro Kirk, Vaughn Grissom, Christian Walker, and Jesus Luzardo. If you're looking at someone in the catcher position who's going to play a lot, it's Alejandro Kirk. He showed that he can catch at the big league level and do it really well. Framed well, and he's Silver Slugger at the catcher position. Don't know why you wouldn't like that in the 13th round on your fantasy leagues. He will hit for the average. The power's not there with some of the other guys, but he should have top average in the catcher position, which you will need if you're in a categories league. And even points leagues, like he's going to get hits, he's going to get on base. Alejandro Kirk is a good option for your fantasy teams, and he should play a lot. Vaughn Grissom is a guy you're kind of taking a chance on, and the star potential kind of showed last season. You move him into shortstop. He's working with Ron Washington nonstop. I think the glove's going to be good to keep him there just permanently, and he'll be a staple in that Atlanta Braves lineup. Again, this is a lineup you want to get a piece of. They're going to score a ton of runs. I think their win total is a little low for the season, so we might have to take a video to look at some of those win totals and take that over on the Atlanta Braves, but I like him. Christian Walker is a sleeper again. It's the Vinny Pasquantino, Nathaniel Lowe, Christian Walker sleepers that I like to take instead of if you're not going to get those guys in the first round. If you want to take more 5-tool guys, I think these are really good options. He was incredible last year. There's nothing more you can say about Christian Walker. He took the step. And then Jesus Luzardo, a guy who has the hand of God in his left hand, but who knows where the ball's going sometimes. The swing and miss stuff is there. If he's able to put it together, which I trust the Marlins will, there was some issues. I think they'll be able to figure Jesus Luzardo out. He looked awesome in his first outing of the spring. Swing and miss stuff is there. If he's able to throw a lot of innings, if we get 170 out of Luzardo, he's going to be a top 6 pick next season. Round 14 in this draft, I hated everything about pretty much. There's a couple guys that I like who were a little bit older. Chris Sale, Hunter Renfroe, or a catcher. The catchers going off in this round were Sean Murphy, Tyler Stevenson, and William Contreras. So I think Chris Sale is a nice little value this season as well. Someone who's carried the load of a lot of innings and can do it again with people kind of counting him out at this point. Hunter Renfroe goes into an Angels outfield where he should be able to just mash baseballs. That's what they're going to bring Hunter Renfroe in to do, drive people in, and you put him in a good opportunity. Don't know why you wouldn't want that on your fantasy baseball team. And then we go to the 15th round, it's the final round of this video, and there's a lot of players I like that are going off. Brady Singer, I like a lot. The XFIP, the Sierra numbers were really good for Brady Singer. He's a guy I think you hope to take the next step here. In the 15th round, you can kind of take a chance on these guys. Dustin May, innings limit. The talent is there. If there's news that starts to come out about Dustin May being kind of the shacks or let free, he's going to be able to pitch more than the innings limit. If he's limited to 100 innings, this kind of sucks. Then you have Oscar Gonzalez, someone who broke out in the playoffs last year, but I think he made 2 must-add videos last season. The talent is there, the bat, the contact is there as well, but it was always the minor league home runs. He hit a ton of his home runs in the last part of the season as well. So if he takes that power to the next level, if it translates to the major league level a lot this season. I think it's a great pick in the 15th round. Jose Miranda, Pablo Lopez, 2 guys on the Twins. They're just solid picks. Drew Rasmussen, a guy who's been really good the past 2 seasons on the Rays. And then you take a chance on a guy like Grayson Rodriguez if he breaks camp with the Orioles as well. I think it's a good solid starting pitcher pick. And then Matt Chapman, someone who's kind of reworked his swing with the Blue Jays to try and limit the strikeouts. The power is there. If you get 30 home runs from a guy that you're taking in the 15th round, I think you're going to be pretty happy. Last video, the first 15 rounds of your fantasy baseball draft. Guys, I am liking to target. Make sure you subscribe, join the Discord, and I will see you guys next time.